Today let's talk about the oil leakage in turbochargers. It is one of the most common problems, but what is the root cause of the oil leakage? The turbocharger itself. This turbocharger is not the root cause in 80% of cases, but caused by other components of the engine. Let's talk about the correct diagnostic method. First, let's check if the oil leakage point is at the compressor or turbine housing assembly. Firstly, we see the compressor housing assembly. Is there any obvious oil leakage trace? If there is any trace, we will conduct the following inspection and judgment. The first step is to check whether the intake pipe is throttling or deformed. The second step is to check intake and exhaust pipes for looseness or breaks. These two steps are the most basic. If there is a problem, we only need to tighten or replace the pipeline to solve the oil leakage problem. If the problem is not here, we need to check if the air filter is too dirty. We need to promptly clean or replace the air filter. Next, check the turbocharger itself. Firstly, check if the compressor wheel is damaged or hit by other objects. Secondly, check for increased shaft and longitudinal clearance. Here, we can check if the compressor wheel is polished. Thirdly, we can check whether the return pipe of the turbocharger is damaged. It should be vertically downward in the engine position. If there is deformation or blockage, the pipeline needs to be replaced. Next, let's check the turbine housing assembly. If there are signs of oil leakage, we need to check whether the problems mentioned earlier have arisen. If there's any blockage in the shaft and wheel chassis or compressor wheel. Here's a tip. If it's a newly installed turbocharger, we can check if there's too much lubricating oil on it. If there's too much oil, it will burn out without affecting normal use. But if it's not for the above reasons, we need to check whether there is carbon deposition, sludge or blockage in the intermediate of the turbocharger. At the same time, check if the oil inside the crankcase is too full, and if there is any blockage in the crankcase breathing. Of course, we often face pseudo oil leakage. What is pseudo oil leakage? When we inspect the engine oil leakage test, we do not need to remove the pipe between the turbocharger's air outlet and the engine's air inlet, because it will 100% leak oil droplets. When the trachea is removed, it will cause an imbalance in internal pressure. Through the above methods, we can see that most oil leakage problems are not caused by the turbocharger itself. Only when the compressor wheel or shaft and wheel chassis is damaged, the clearance between the shafts increases, and the impeller wears out, do we need to replace the turbocharger with a new one. Of course, we will also give some good advice to car owners here. In fact, the best way to solve oil leakage is to prevent it. Correct driving habits can reduce 80% of oil leakage faults, and most turbocharger oil leaks are caused by customer usage habits or other components, rather than the turbocharger itself. Therefore, when using vehicles in daily life, we should try not to let the car idle for more than 20 minutes. Secondly, we should not use the exhaust brake for a long time. Thirdly, we should not stay in a downhill state for too long. That concludes today's sharing. If you want to know more about the turbocharger, you can follow the Jrone social medias.